Alocasias can be a bit dramatic, but moving them into Leca doesn't have to be. Today I'm showing you exactly how I move mine straight from soil into Leca without root rot, leaf drop, or a full meltdown. There are 6 key steps I always follow. Things like how I clean the roots, the rooting solution I use, and the setup with a wick and a ventilated nursery pot that keeps the root zone healthy. But those are just a few of the things that make this transfer work. If you skip even one step, your alocasia could really struggle. So stick with me through the full process. And I've got a bonus tip at the end that helps stop the plant from flopping over after transfer. You're going to want to try this one. Step 1, gently removing the plant from the soil. We're starting with the basics, removing the plant from the soil without shocking it. This part might seem simple, but how you do it really matters. I tip the pot to the side, supporting the base of the plant, and slowly work it loose. No yanking. I gently break up the root ball with my fingers and shake off as much soil as I can without pulling at the roots. If the roots are really tangled, I massage them a bit, not pulling, just loosening. This helps reduce stress before the hose rinse. I take a minute to look for corms in case they're there. Once I've removed the bulk of the soil, we moved onto the part that most people rush. But trust me, the next step is where things can go very wrong if you're not careful. Next up, rinsing the roots. This is one of the most important steps when moving a plant into Leca. I use a hose on a gentle spray setting, and I'm aiming to remove every bit of soil, especially the bits stuck between the roots and around the corm. Any leftover organic matter can cause issues like mold or root rot once the plant is in Leca. And while I'm there, I also take this chance to wash the leaves. I give them a good rinse to remove dust, soil splash, or any pests that might be hiding. Clean leaves help the plant photosynthesize better and bounce back faster. This step does take time. I'll often rinse, check, and rinse again. I might even use my fingers or a soft brush, a very soft brush, to get into those tight spots. Once everything's clean, that's when I start making decisions. Which roots stay, which ones go, and which leaves aren't worth keeping. Let's get into that next. Once the roots are clean, I go in with sterile scissors and trim anything that's brown or mushy or stringy. Brown, mushy, or stringy. That has got to go. Roots like that. Those roots aren't doing the plant any good, and they can invite rot if you leave them in. So just getting rid of anything that looks a bit suspicious. So that is what I have left. I took a look at the leaves of my plant as well, and I decided that this leaf was not worth keeping. It was yellowing and it looked like it was on its way out anyway, so I just pulled it off. I know it can be hard to cut off what looks like a healthy looking leaf, but trust me, alocasias do much better when they're not trying to support extra foliage during the transition. Less foliage means more energy for root regrowth. And once the new roots kick in, that's when the new leaves start pushing out again. Now, this next step is where a lot of people start to lose confidence. But the secret isn't just in the setup. It's also when what's already soaking in a bucket nearby. I'll show you. Before I even touch the pot that I'm going to put my plant in, I get my Leca ready. And no, I don't just rinse it and go. I soak it in a mixture of a Clonex clone solution or cutting clone solution and root zone. This is my rooting solution, my little insurance policy. I want the Leca to already be holding that moisture and those nutrients when I pot my plant up. These steps help ease the shock of the transfer and give the plant what it needs to start forming roots again right from day one. And now that the plant's prepped and the Leca is loaded, let's talk about how I actually pot it up, because the container you choose can make or break this whole thing. I use the Wick system for almost all of my alocasia transfers. It delivers moisture gradually and keeps the root zone from sitting in water. The wick goes through the bottom of the inner pot. That's the inner pot there. It goes through there. Oh, let me try and get it in. So fiddly. There, it goes through the bottom of the inner pot and dangles at the bottom there. And it goes into the reservoir that's in the cash pot. Now, I need to try and get this other one in, which is, oh, so fit. There we go. There we go. That is how that wick sits. It sits at the bottom there, dangles at the bottom, which dangles into the nutrient that's sitting in my cash pot. The wick draws up just enough moisture to keep the leca damp, but not soggy, so that root zone is airy and moist, just what alocasias love. Now, this pot is actually key. I always use a ventilated nursery pot. This one has got side slits, but I also use ones where I've got holes in the pot as well. These allow for extra airflow around the roots, which alocasias love. It also helps prevent stagnant pockets and keeps oxygen flowing throughout the leca, which is a good thing. Otherwise, your alocasia develops root rot, as we all know they tend to do. I add a base layer of leca. About that much, just enough to support the plant at the bottom, just about a third of the way up or so. And then I place the plant in, gently supporting the roots, making sure that the roots are spread out on top of the leca. Then I fill around the plant, making sure that it's filled up in the pot. The plant is secure, but not squashed. But what goes into the reservoir in those first few weeks is not what I use long term. This next part is all about timing and watching for the right signs. After potting, I keep using the same rooting solution I soaked the leca in, Clonix and Root Zone, in the reservoir. I don't rush into foliage nutrients. The roots are still adjusting, and in many cases, they haven't started growing yet. That early period is all about supporting recovery and creating the right environments for new roots to form, not pushing top growth, not looking for new leaves. I keep the water level just below the root zone so the wick can gently draw up moisture without flooding the plant. How long I stay on this rooting solution depends on the plant. Sometimes it's a couple of weeks, sometimes a little bit longer. I don't switch to foliage nutrients until I see new roots coming down into the reservoir. That's when I know the plant is ready for the next stage. But while we wait for those roots to develop, there's something else I do to stop the plant from looking limp or sad in the meantime, and that's the bonus tip that's coming up next. The bonus tip that keeps your alocasia from looking sad and floppy after transfer is simply this. I increase the humidity around the plant using a dome. This can be a clear plastic storage tub or a large takeaway container flipped over, or even just a loose plastic bag over the top. Anything that traps humidity while still letting in light. This gives the leaves some support while the roots are still adjusting, especially if you had to trim a lot of them. It reduces stress and keeps the plant upright while it finds its feet, or roots, I should say. I normally keep the dome on for 5 to 7 days, lifting it daily to check on airflow and preventing condensation buildup. It's simple, but it makes a huge difference. Once everything's set up, I place the plant somewhere warm with plenty of bright indirect light. I avoid any cold drafts or deep shade. That combination of warmth, light, and humidity gives the plant the best chance to bounce back. From here, it's just about patience and observation. I check on the roots every few days, I top up the reservoir with rooting solution when needed, and let the plant do its thing. If you're getting into semi-hydro and want more help along the way, come join my free Facebook group, Semi-Hydroponics with the Leca Queen. And if you're looking for exclusive content, behind the scenes tips, or personalized help, check out thelecaqueen.com. I hope this has helped you feel more confident, and I'll see you in the next video.